peripheral nervous system, even though they come out of your skull, is because they go to the periphery. They go to your periphery. Got it? They go to things outside of your central nervous system. All right. This is the central nervous system. What are we talking about? Mr. Brain. Okay? All right. Well, let's go to it. Don't freak out. Cephala. All of this means your head. Cephalization simply means we are going to have a head end and a tail end when we're growing inside the uterus. Got it? You have a front and a back. Oh, remember our little blastodisc, our little embryonic character here? You see this dip here? That's a dip. That's going to be your brain. And you see this little groove here? That's going to be your spinal cord. Because the blue becomes all of your nerves, including your brain and spinal cord, but also your what? Epidermis. The yellow underneath, that becomes the lining of all of your hollow organs, and the red is everything in between. Meaning all your muscles, all your bones, all your connective tissue, all your cartilage. Are you with me? Okay. Because that's what happens. See? We fold up and make this groove, and that is going to be your spinal cord, and on one end, your brain. Got it? And what's left becomes your epidermis, the skin on the outside of your body. All right. See how we have a bulge in the front and then not a bulge in the back? Because I don't have a brain back here. My only brain is up here. That's what's going to be your brain. See? And that's why I call it cephalization. We make a front end and a back end. Not a test question, but let's see if we can figure this out. Does anybody know what the word rostral means? Rostral. Ever heard that before? It means your nose. The nose end. Yeah. Anybody know what caudal means? Tail end. From nose to tail. Got it? Aren't we designed that way? Nose to tail? So are dogs, cats, horses, snakes, alligators. Got it? We all grow that way. Got it? Even an earthworm has a nose end and a butt end. Okay? All right. I don't want to emphasize this too much because it's only a couple of weeks, left in school. So I'm not going to have you memorize as many things as I would. But I do want you to understand that our brain is complex. We have multiple sets of bulges. 5, in fact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of bulges. Alrighty? And those 5 sets of bulges become these parts of the brain. Alrighty? The most important one is the farthest bulge. Remember, what step is telophase? The first closest one or the last one?
Last one.
This is the last farthest bulge. And this becomes this. The cerebellum, the cerebrum. The telencephalon, the tele part of your head, becomes the cerebrum. Got it? The main part of the brain that we all talk about. Everybody with me? Okay. Now, the next set of bulges, die, means how many?
2.
Okay. These are 2 special bulges, and they become this part of your brain, the thalamus. The thalamus is what my students say looks like a chicken beak and a chicken head, okay, with a little eyeball in the middle of it. And that is, remember, if you looked at my video, what is the thalamus all about? It's the center of the incoming and the center of the outgoing relay. Remember that? Well, you got 2 of them, one on each side, okay? After that, meso means in the middle. So that becomes this part of the brain. Got it? In the middle. the midbrain. Beyond that, meta means beyond, so beyond of your head, this becomes the pons, that little round belly here in the front. And who? The pons and the cerebellum. This big extra bulge back here. Please note, does this have two different colors? Because it does two totally different functions. This is where we do most of our thinking and deciding and picking up information. Your cerebellum has one major function. Keep you from falling down when you're walking. Keep you from falling down when you're running. Got it? Okay. It keeps you in your walking balance. Got it? Your moving balance. That's why, once you learn, you never forget. That's why when you pulled yourself up on the couch as a little kid and started walking, did you ever have to be taught again? Once you learned how to balance by riding a bicycle, did you have to be taught again? That's the key. Got it? Same thing with skateboarding, surfing, whatever. Once you've learned it, you don't forget, because this guy remembers it all for you. Now, it's easier to learn when you're a kid and a lot harder to learn when you're an old fool like me. I kill myself on something. Got it? Roller skates or whatever. You know, one of those hover things, you know, with the little wheel on it? I see plenty of people go, whoop, boom. I don't want to do that. Okay? All right. And the last part, what does this mean? What does that remind you of? You know what it reminds me of?
Myelin.
What's this?
Sheep.
What color is it?
White.
And guess what? Your medulla oblongata is covered in what?
White.
Myelin. That's why it's
Myelin.
white. Got it? So the medulla oblongata is the last part. Okay? So don't make it too hard. But me personally, these two are the toughest, and these two are the ones you need to know. Okay? For test number 4. All right? Now, test number 3, right, is going to be sometime tonight, yes? You guys voted on that, yeah? Okay, some people have already taken it, so. All right. Now, what about this? What is this all about? This is your ventricles. Remember? Didn't we pass this around last time? This is the liquid inside the hollow parts of your brain. They simply injected gray plastic. And when it's solidified, pull the brain off. That's what the holes were. Okay? Inside the cerebrum are these two, called the lateral ventricles. See? Look at that last blue box there. Got it? Lateral ventricles. And where we have our chicken head in the middle of the brain, we have a chicken head shaped hollow space, which is our what? Third ventricle. And behind that is this little tube called the cerebral aqueduct. A duct is a tube, okay? And below that is the fourth ventricle. See, and that's just telling you, that's where they end up, because they belong in those places. 10-4? All right. And the last part keeps going all the way down your spinal cord. Okay? Ever heard of having a spinal tap? What are they doing?
Taking out your spinal fluid.
They're taking out your spinal fluid. Where? Anybody know where they do that?
Your lumbar.
Lumbar. Right here. Okay? I'll move my thing here. Spinal tap is taken here. Okay? Somewhere between L3, L4, L5, something like that. Got it? Depending on what is easier to access. What are they looking for? They're looking to see what's wrong with your brain. Would you rather have them drill a hole in your brain and suck out the fluid, or a hole down here? Because it's the same fluid, down and up, down and up. Got it? So no matter where you pull the fluid from, it's going to be the same cerebrospinal fluid. Hence the name cerebrospinal fluid. 10-4? And yeah, I had spinal meningitis. I caught it. And they needed to find out, was it the bacterial kind or the viral kind? Because you cannot kill a virus with antibiotics. You cannot kill a bacteria with an antiviral. Does that make sense? But both of them are pretty dangerous and deadly because it'll inflame your brain. Alrighty? So the MRI didn't show anything, so it had to be something in the fluid. It wasn't a tumor or something like that, right? So I had a spinal tap done. Alrighty? And I remember the lady comes in. I'm sitting on the corner, on the edge of the bed, and the lady, I swear, she was so little. I was sitting, and I'm still taller, sitting on the bed than she was when she walked in. And she goes, "Okay, now Miss Weber, you have to take his arms and pull as hard as you can to straighten my back out. Got it?" Because I was sitting, and then she says, "Okay, Mr. Weber, now don't look. What am I going to do?" And she pulls out a syringe this big with a needle that big. Okay? And then she feels along my back, She goes, "Okay, here we go." And it goes in, and I could just feel it and hear it. Because it's got to go in between all that crunchy cartilage to get down to where the fluid is. And then sucked up a big old vial of it and sent that down to the lab for them to look at, and they figured out what it was, and they gave me the proper shot. I was so out of it with the spinal meningitis, I can't remember anything, but they put it in the IV bag, and 3 days later I went home. Okay? But I had it to the point that I was falling down. I couldn't stand up. Okay? So, how are we doing? Alrighty? But yeah, I can still feel that crunch as that needle is digging in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do that for fun. That's definitely, you got to do that. And see, that's what happens. All these things just twist up. And look how big the telencephalon gets, because that's going to be your cerebrum. And then the little chicken beak on the inside here, this is going to be your thalamus. Got it? And there's your midbrain. And here's your pons and cerebellum. And here's your medulla, which then becomes your spinal cord. Okay? Remember, what's a tract? All the white matter covered in myelin in your central nervous system. What do we call white myelinated nerves? Okay? Very good. All right. Please note, in your brain, most of your gray matter is on the outside. Right? That's your gray matter on the outside. The white matter is more to the inside. But in your spinal cord, where's the gray matter? On the inside, where's the white matter? To the outside. Okay? All right. And again, remember the ependymal cells are the ones that move that fluid. All right. And there you go. But see, this is why my students call it the chicken head. Because it looks like a head with an eyeball and a beak. The head part, this is the thalamus, and this beak part is the hypothalamus. What's hypo mean? Below the thalamus. The hypothalamus. Okay, ridges. Every bump on your brain is called a gyrus, or gyri for plural, and every indentation is called a sulcus or sulci. Alrighty? And then when you have deep ones, they're called fissures. Didn't we say fissure in the brain and in the skull too? Like deep crack? Okay, that's what this is. Now, I think you know your lobes of your brain, right? Frontal, right? Parietal, temporal, occipital. What you're not used to is this one, the insula. Let me find a model. Where did he put all the brain models? You guys see a box of brains somewhere? Anybody see a box of brains? Or am I just blonde?
Those brains right there.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I knew I was going to stare right at it and miss it. All right. Let me just hold this up for the camera. Typical brain here. Got it? Now, of course, the little pegs that hold it in place are kind of falling apart. So, all right. What do I call all of this gray matter? The cerebrum. Okay? Oh, I'm missing my cerebellum underneath here. But do you see a crack all the way separating left and right? That, my friends, is a fissure. Okay? And hold on, let me get what's missing here. Maybe I'll just use this one. Sorry. What's the brown thing underneath? For balance, this is your cerebellum. See, cerebrum and cerebellum. Okay? Do you see a crack here between those two? That's another fissure. Are you with me? Okay. So, we're going to talk about those guys in just a second. Okay. Now, a sulcus is a dip, but not very deep. Alrighty? And the central sulcus separates the front of the brain from the back of the brain. And it's going to be right here. That's your central sulcus. Not very deep, but it's in the center. Everything in the front is precentral, and everything behind is post-central. Does that make sense? Before the center, after the center? Okay. Let me give you a preview. Everything in the precentral area is motor. Everything in the post-central region is sensory. All sensory back here, all motor here. 10-4? Okay. Do you remember your spinal cord? What's happening in the front of the spinal cord? All motor. What's happening in the back of the spinal cord? All sensory, just like your brain. Okay? All right. Longitudinal fissure. Transverse fissure. Not this cut here, because they cut that model apart. But down here, that's holding these two guys. Got it? Where we separate, the pink from the brown. Are you with me? That's your transverse fissure. Because what's transverse? On the sides, right? Okay. Okay. See? I like the way this book does it. Red, motor. Blue, sensory. Central sulcus in the middle, separating your motor from your sensory. Okay? All right. Now, let's get to the insula. See how we have to pull this back to show you the insula? Meaning, where do you put insulation?
Inside.
Ta-da! So this is a lobe down inside. So let's take a look, shall we? Watch. I'm going to take this off. Do you see two lobes here on the inside? There's your insula. Got it? Okay. And when I take this all the way apart, you see this bulge here and here? Or, if you look on the inside, the chicken beak, there is your thalamus. And your beak is your hypothalamus. And the belly sticking out is your pons. And this part coming down, medulla oblongata. And all of these little white nerves are the cranial nerves we just did. Are you with me? So there it is. The whole thing right there. Like an ice cream cone with two scoops. Okay? All right. But these things on top are not the thalamus. Doesn't that look like this? With the blood vessels and the gyrus and the sulcus? Yeah, because that's the insula. Okay? All right. So on the inside. See? Transverse fissure between the cerebrum and the cerebellum. Okay. Contralateral, lateralization. What's the root word? What's lateral?
Lateral
On
on the outside.
the side.
Side.
Not to the outside, but the side. Got it? You know anything about football? Please. What's a lateral? You throw the ball sideways, not forwards. A forward passes forward, but you toss it to somebody on the side. It's called a lateral. Okay? Where are your lats? Bodybuilders. On the sides. Hey! Because that's what it means. So, lateralization means one half of your brain is in charge of something that the other half is not in charge of. You've got specializations on the left and the right. And contralateral means, and this is the most amazing thing to me, that the right side of your brain sends messages to the left side of your body to tell it to do something. And the left side of your brain controls what the right side of your body does. Got it? And that's what contra means. Opposite side. Contralateral, opposite side. Are you with me? And we cross all of that over on a bridge. This white matter right here is a bridge. If it's white, what's it made of, this bridge? Myelinated axons. It's the axons from the right side telling the left side of the body what to do, and from the left side telling the right side of the body what to do. That is a two-way bridge, okay, that we have. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. See, this is the male and the female brain. See, what's the male brain mostly occupied with? Remote control, car fixations. Well, how about ladies? You know, shopping, commitments, chocolate. That's a joke, guy. I'm going to get in trouble again. I know. All right. So, we do need to understand that there are certain areas of the brain we need to be familiar with. Okay? Let's look at the motor part first. The part in the front. Can I erase these words here? You got this under control? I'm going to draw the brain, and encourage you guys to draw the brain with me. Okay? All right. Make sure this is dry enough to write on. Okay. Here is your brain on drugs. Okay? And then you've got your pons here, the medulla, and you're heading down. Everybody with me? Okay. The first thing we need to do, I'll make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, there you go. First thing we need to do is separate front from back. What do I call this gap here? The what sulcus? It's in the center. Central sulcus. So what's going to be here? Motor. Hint, hint, hint. What's going to be back here?
Center.
There you go. And your spinal cord is exactly the same way. All the tracks going down the front, actually they're going up, they're going down. They're motor, and everything going here is going up. It's sensory. Are you with me? Okay. Now we need to know a couple of things. The primary motor cortex. Cortex means it's a central part. Got it? And that's here. Right in the front. Right in the front. We call this the precentral gyrus. Isn't it in front of the center? And isn't it a bulge? Precentral. And this is your primary motor cortex. It is here we make the decision. I'm going to reach my hand out. I'm going to walk. 10-4? All right. And then we have something else. There's another area right in front. And this area is called premotor. Isn't that in front of the motor? Well, guess what? And this is the test question. The premotor is an association area, meaning it helps the motor. It helps the motor. What does that mean? Well, if you have a stroke, and that stroke affects you right here, and now you can't move your arm. 10-4? Is that it? You're done for? Go sit in a nursing home the rest of your life? What do doctors recommend after a stroke?
Therapy.
Rehab therapy, physical therapy. Because you know what? By repeatedly working with that, then this area takes over. It helps. Does that make sense? Okay. And that's why we have it. And that's why you don't just give up, you do therapy. Because other parts of the brain can take over for a part that might be damaged. 10-4? Well, when it's not damaged, it helps you to coordinate. So that when you have something, instead of going like, you pick it up. Are you with me? You don't just jump. Got it? It smooths out your walking and smooths out your movements. All right? Okay. Now, the next thing. Have you ever heard of Broca? Okay. That's this. Right here. And I'm facing this way. So what side of my brain am I looking at today? The left. The left side for 90% of people is where we do our talking. From the left side. And that's what Broca's area is for. This is where we form words to speak them. Got it? Now, a person who is bilingual, trilingual, they have a well-developed Broca's. Does that make sense? So those UN translators, they have a well-developed Broca's. Does anybody know where most UN translators come from? Holland. You know why? Holland's a very small country. By the time you hit high school, you know 7 languages fluently. Because you got to learn Dutch. Right next door is France, you know French. Right next door is Germany, you learn German. Right above you is Flemish, you learn that. Everybody watches American TV and movies, you learn English. And because everybody was scared to death that the Russians were coming, everybody learned Russian too. Just in case they came down and got you. Okay? My mom grew up in Indonesia. She knew 7 dialects in Indonesia because all of her friends came from different islands and they all had different dialects. And my mom knew 7 Indonesian dialects as well as French, German, Dutch, okay, and Russian. My dad grew up in Germany and he learned all those languages too. In fact, my dad always got a German magazine once a month. It was like the Newsweek of Germany called the Stern. He also got a French newspaper to know what's happening in France. My mom always got a Dutch magazine and a Indonesian magazine to see what happened with that in her old country of Indonesia. Okay, I wish I learned all that stuff. When I was younger, we spoke Dutch and German all the time in the house, but I haven't done that for 40 years, so it's all out of my head now. Cool beans? Okay, now, how about here? How about this area right here? This is the frontal eye field. See the word frontal eye field? What do you think the frontal eye field is all about? What about your eye?
Moving your eye.
It's not for seeing, it's for 100% what? Moving your eyes. Up, down, left, right. Got it? This part of your brain is all about moving your eyes. Are you good? Okay. Don't make it any harder than that. Just keep it simple. All right. In this primary motor cortex, all of these brain cells are triangular shaped. They're all triangular shaped. Well, what's a triangle look like?
Pyramid.
And that's why they're called pyramidal cells. 10-4? Now, if I want to send a message from my pyramidal cells to, let's say, my arm, okay? How is this going to work? How many neurons does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop? Okay, you guys remember that's commercial. Well, what did the owl say? 1, 2, 3, right? Well, guess what? He's right. It takes exactly 3 neurons. And how does it work? Well, let's see. We have 1 neuron. We'll take the neuron up here. Make it easy. We'll take a higher one up here. Okay. What's in the center of your brain? Mr. Who? Who's the chicken head? Thalamus. Don't please write that down 16 times and you'll have it memorized. Everything has to go through the thalamus. Your thalamus is basically like your lizard brain. It is the main thing that everything has to go in and out of, okay? It's the ancient part. So, we have a motor neuron going to your thalamus. That's number 1. Number 2, from your thalamus, it's going to go down my spinal cord. Down what? The front or the back? Because everything's in the front of its motor, right? And then we have another neuron in our spinal cord, and that's going to go to your finger. 10-4? How many neurons does it take? 1, 2, 3. Who's in the middle? Mr. Thalamus. Okay. All righty. Now, look at this. There's a little man inside your brain. What? That little man doesn't look like a human being. He's got a giant head and a giant hand and a little tiny body. So instead of calling him human, we say he's human-like. Homunculus. Don't read any more into it than that. That's what homunculus means. Why do we have this here? Because this part of that side of your brain represents the part of your brain that makes these things move. Got it? And then this part of your brain tells us that's what makes this part move. And this is what makes the rest of your body move. Got it? So, why a big head? Why a big hand? Because I have more muscles in my face than my whole body. I have more muscles in my hand than my whole body. So I need a bigger amount of my brain to be in charge of telling my fingers and hands to move. Isn't that important? Can't we play the piano and play the guitar? Yeah. Okay? So, how are we doing? Now, is this guy standing upright or is he more like upside down? Is his head down here and his body up here? No, Mr. Right. His body's down here and his head's up here. No, isn't his head down? Lower than his body? So we say that he's what? What's that word? Upside down. Now, didn't we say that the right side of your brain tells the left side of your body to work? So, the little man here is telling this arm to move. And the little man here is telling this arm to move. So, what do I call, what's the magic word? That means it tells the opposite side. Contra, opposite, lateral side. Okay? That's how we describe the little man in your motor gyrus. Okay? In other words, down here is your face, up here is your hand. Got it? Your hand is higher up than your face. Are you with me? That's all it means. Okay. We got all this? Notice I wrote it in red because that's motor. That's for us visual learners in the class. Broca is for speech, able to speak. Got it? What if your patient can't speak? Where was his stroke? Maybe in the Broca's region. Does that make sense? There's a video, you can see it online. They were going to freeze a tumor in this guy's brain. You can't cut out a tumor because you're damaging too much brain cells. So now they laser it out. But back in the old days, they would freeze it out. And so the guy is laying there, and when you do brain surgery, folks, you're 100% awake. You have to be, because the doctor needs to know, is he getting too close to hurting a vital part? So as the doctor was putting the probe down, he had the guy talk. And so the nurse was holding flashcards in front of him, and he had to say what the flashcard was. You know? Put the thing. Dog, house, car, fish. Okay? Pull it back. Cat, fish, you know? So he knew, if I go any deeper, I'm going to hit the Broca's region. So I better pull back a little bit. 10-4, because you damaged that. That ain't coming back. Does that make sense? Okay. Oops. All right. Now, we've got some sensory areas we need to know. Where are they located? In the back. Okay. Well, just like we had right behind the central sulcus, is a big blue area called the what? Primary sensory area. Primary motor, primary sensory. Yeah? Where we feel and sense most of our environment. From what? Our hands and face and body. Got it? And right behind that is an association area, which helps us to coordinate what we're feeling. You know? In other words, we're going like, yeah, I feel something. But, oh, it's smooth. Oh, it's cool. Got it? The association area helps you with what you're feeling physically with your body. Okay? All right. Oh my. Guess what we have here? An area called Wernicke's area. Have I got Wernicke in here? Well, it's auditory. But there you go. Wernicke. He's right here. Wernicke's area works with Broca. Got it? This is Broca in the front. This is Wernicke near the back. If Broca is for you to say, hi there, in 6 different languages, what is Wernicke? It's the sensory part. So you can hear it and understand those languages. Does that make sense? Hear and understand. It's sensory, but they work together. And notice, they're both on what side?
Left.
The left side. Now, they realize, however, that 10% of people have that on the right side. How do they know? Because if this side of their brain gets damaged and they can still speak, oh, you're the lucky one with your speech center on the opposite side. Does that make sense? All right. But, you can't tell from an MRI or whatever, what side is what. Does that make sense? Because it's all part of your same brain material, but that's why they have it in ... Right? It's not a specific organ, it's a region, it's an area. Okay? And they have to do the same thing. If you're going to do some work close to the Wernicke's, you have to have the person who's being operated on hear things and explain what he's hearing. This was being done, another video, on a guy who was actually a musician, symphony conductor, and so they played snippets of music, and he had to say what that was. That's Beethoven's Fifth. That's Chopin's Concerto, whatever. Got it? As they were getting closer, when the guy couldn't understand what the music was, they were getting too close. All right? That's why all brain surgery is done with the patient 100% awake. You've got to communicate to the doctor what's going on in your head. You can't do that when you're asleep. Got it? Okay. Because then the doctor might operate and you don't wake up. 10-4, you got to tell him, hey, this is what's going on. All right. So, now the next few things that I really want to make sure you understand is that you have very close to your ear hole. What's your ear hole called? Who? No, the cochlea is that snail shell for hearing. What's the hole called? You already had it on your lab test for bones. External auditory meatus. That's here, right? Well, guess what? That's where sound comes in. So most of your sound area is right here. That's your auditory. Now you tell me, where do you think the visual cortex is? Where do you actually see what's coming in your eyes? Here, in the back. That's your primary auditory, and then around it is the associational auditory. What does that mean? This one says, oh, I see a person. This says, yeah, and it's Jesse. It's Shania. Right, Shania?
Shania.
Does that make sense? It helps. What happens if a stroke destroys this? Over time, the association area will help. How do I know that? Because my poor mom had a stroke. And one day she couldn't see anything. And we took her to the doctor. He says, yeah, she's had a stroke back here. She can still talk and hear, but she can't see. Okay? And so we were with her, and one day, the kids, we took turns staying with mom or keeping with her with us. And we were in the bedroom with her. She goes, I want to watch TV. And I went, you can't see anything? Of course I can. I said, what? She goes, yeah. And I went, okay, how many fingers am I holding up? She goes, 3. What do you think I am? A child? I went, when did you see? Because over time, it took about a year, that association area took over. And she could see again. It's amazing, but it does happen. Okay? How are we doing? Hanging in there? Yes, sir.
So for like concussion, if you get hit in certain areas, different parts?
Oh yeah, a concussion is a bruise to your brain because it hit the side of your skull. And if the bruise is very bad, that's permanent damage. If it's not that bad, it's swelling. And when the swelling goes back down, then maybe you can recover.
I had one to the back, so that's why my vision was impaired.
Yeah, your vision was impaired. And that's why you hit somebody in the back of the head, all you see is black and stars. Got it? The blackness is because you can't see it, and the stars is all the neurons firing. But they're saying, I'm firing, but I don't see a picture. That's the stars. It's nerve endings firing. Think of your visual cortex like the movie screen. And the movie camera is your eyes. When you go to a movie, isn't the camera behind you? But what you see is on the screen? That's your eyes, and that's your brain showing you what your eyes are seeing. That's exactly how that works.
So what about sensitivity to light? How does that work?
Well, sensitivity to light is obviously in this area as well, and that's just because it's getting too much. Now, sensitivity to light could either be your brain interpreting it or how sensitive the retina is to those lights. There are certain people who can't handle a flash photography because it hits the retina and just overwhelms the retina and you're kind of blind. You know, the idea of like a deer in the headlights. The reason a deer is crossing the road and then stops because the lights are too bright for their eyes and they're going like, I'm blinded, I can't see anything. Boom, there goes the car. Does that make sense? Okay. I mean, you get blinded if somebody shows a flashlight in your eyes, at least for a few seconds. Yeah, okay. How's that going? You hanging in there? All right. Well, let's do this. Oh my goodness. I feel something. Ow! On my hand. How many nerves does it take to get to my sensory cortex?
3.
Exactly 3. So the sensory goes in, gets picked up by a nerve in your spinal cord. Where? In the front or the back?
Back.
In the back. That nerve, sorry, it should be like this. That's the body, this is the, okay? And then up, where's it going to go?
To your thalamus.
To the thalamus. And the thalamus here, to your sensory cortex. 1, 2, 3 in, 1, 2, 3 out. Thalamus is the middle of the relay race all the time. What is a relay race? Why do they call it a relay race?
Tag somebody and go next.
Huh?
They tag someone and
What about?
next
So you tag them and then what?
and they run.
How do you know you tagged them right?
Past the.
Because you pass a baton to the next person. It's the baton crossing, not the person crossing, that wins the race. The baton is the electrical message. Got it? The baton you pass to the next person. No, I lost that race. The baton you pass to the next person, and then he passes it to the next person. It's the baton that's being passed. You just happen to be the legs that are carrying it. Does that make sense? Same thing here. The message is out. 1 relay, 2 relay, 3 relay. Got it? The message is what's being sent on those nerves. The nerves aren't crossing any line. They stay put all the time. They don't go anywhere. 10-4? All right. So, don't over-interpret this stuff. All righty? Now, the only thing we need to worry that's a little bit different, what do you think the gustatory cortex is about?
Taste.
Taste. And guess where that is? The insula. The taste is here on the insula. Okay? So that would be down inside. Are you with me? And that, oh, is there a little upside down man in the blue part of your brain? Just like the red man. Why do we have a big giant face? Because most of the brain is for the sensory of your face. You have much more sensitive face nerves than your body. Anybody ever been around a bonfire or lit something? Don't you feel it on your face first? Yeah. And where else do you feel heat? On your hands. That's why your hands are so big. Because a big part of your brain is picking up sense information from your hands. But a smaller part of your brain senses your whole body. Does that make sense? Now, is this guy sort of upside down with the head down here and the body up there? Yeah. Is the sense from my left side going to my right brain? So it's contralateral. Just like the motor guy. Got it? So, on my test, if I say in your cerebrum, how would you describe the motor or sensory homunculus, you use two words. He's upside down and contralateral. Opposite. Okay? And they cross across this big bridge called the corpus callosum. Those information crosses there. Alrighty, super. Yeah, see, gustatory. Where is the gustatory? On the insula. Okay. Now, how about this? Notice I didn't make this red or blue. I made it kind of purple. Okay. Intellect, cognition, recall, personality, judgment, memory, learning. Where in the world does all of that take place? Where does that take place? Here. The prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal. All the way in the front. But again, what side of your brain, what part of the brain is that? Front or back? Because learning is doing. Doing is learning. Learning is not let it wash over you like a tide. Got it? Learning requires you to do something about it. Got it? Whether you're making flashcards or you're doing, what was it you were doing? What was that thing that?
Quizlet?
Quizlets, right? Or teaching it to somebody like I do. Got it? Like I think I told you guys, I had a student with a straight A, and I said, how'd you do? She goes, I teach my cat every night. Because it's the act of going over it. And if you're kinesthetic, what should you do when you're studying? Move. Walk around a little bit. Am I sitting down when I'm teaching, or am I walking around when I'm teaching? I am kinesthetic. It keeps my brain awake. And listen, if you guys are falling asleep, stand up. I'm not going to get upset. That's why I like teaching in the lab. There's more room. Okay? How are we doing? Hanging in there? Prefrontal cortex. Very, very important. That's where all the learning takes place. All right. Now, remember, division of labor. Where is our speaking and listening part? On the left. Got it? Dominance. Anybody here left-handed? If you're left-handed, you're in your right mind. Because if you're left-handed, the right side of your brain is running things. My wife's left-handed. That's what she always says. I'm in my right mind. If you're right-handed, who's running the show? The left part of the brain. Does that make sense? What if you're ambidextrous?
Either one.
They're both working. Got it? Okay. And again, this left and right dominance, about 90%. Okay? See, on the left side is language, math, and logic. On the right side is more visual and artistic and intuition and all this kind of stuff. Now, do yourself a favor. Do a little survey just for the heck of it. When you're watching, TMZ, or you're watching one of these videos or whatnot, and you see artists and actors and recording artists, got it? Walking along the red carpet, signing autographs, take a look at how many of them sign with their left hand. Because the right side of the brain is where we have more artistic skills. Got it? So, you'll see it. How about politicians? Oh my goodness. Barack Obama, left-handed. Bill Clinton, left-handed. George Bush, left-handed. Why are so many politicians left-handed? Because they're basically actors. Got it? I feel your pain. Right? So, just artistic people are more left-handed than right-handed. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, white myelinated axons, right? Tracks. We have 3 types of tracks in our brain. Ready? The ones that go from low to high, that go up are called projection fibers. Got it? So I would say these are projection fibers, aren't they? Going up or going down? Okay. Now, how about this? Commissures, side to side. So this bridge, the corpus callosum, is a bunch of commissures because it's sending messages left and right on the left and right side of your brain. And nerve fibers, see the white axons? If they stay in one region of the brain, they're called association fibers. Okay? Well, let's see if we can see these. Do you see going across left to right? Commissures. See them? Commissures, left to right. Do you see how this stays in one region? These white ones here, they stay in one region. Association fibers. Okay? Commissures going across, association fibers stay in one area. Okay? So, and you can see that even here, associations. Okay? All right. Is that worth 47 hours of study, or one or two flashcards and you got it? Oh, do you see pockets of different colors? Those are the nuclei. That's the gray matter inside the white matter. And the blue is the liquid in the ventricles. Okay? All right. Here are some of these nuclei. See? Nucleus, nucleus. These are just bodies. 10-4. Like your thalamus is a group of bodies. Let's go. Okay, speaking of your thalamus. See? There's your thalamus, that egg. You got two of them. And this is the adhesive that holds the two eggs together, which kind of looks like an eye. And then this beak part sticking out underneath, that's your hypothalamus. Alrighty? There's your corpus callosum. Here's the pons. Here's the midbrain. Here's the medulla oblongata. Hanging down is the pituitary gland. Okay? And in front of that is the optic chiasm, where your optic nerves cross. Guess what the letter chi, C-H-I, is in Greek? X. Got it? Okay. This is your what? Cerebellum, because that's your cerebrum. Cerebellum. Okay? And the cerebellum has its own white matter, axons, from all the gray matter. Those axons reminded somebody of a tree, so it's called the tree of life. Arbor day, tree, vitae, life. Okay? All right. Thalamus. It'll project out and receive all of the incoming and all of the outgoing. Remember, he's the center of attention in your brain. And there it is. The reason it's not white, but colored, is because it's full of nuclei, it's full of bodies, with the axon coming in and an axon going out, but the interneuron bodies are here. Okay? All right. Sorts, edits, relays information. 10-4? All right. How about your hypothalamus underneath? It's also full of a bunch of nuclei. I'll never ask you to memorize the names of these things, but they're full of nuclei. Again, where things going in and then coming out. Alrighty? Now look at the function of this character. Blood pressure, heart rate, digestive tract, emotional responses, fear, pleasure, biological rhythms. Is this guy kind of busy? Yeah. It regulates your temperature, thirst, hunger. Okay? heard of the pineal gland? Pineal gland is a little gland hanging right here in the back of your brain. And the pineal gland is the one that releases melatonin for wake and sleep cycles. And there it is, that pink thing right there. Corpus callosum, and yeah, this has been cut so they can open up the brain, but that's all part of the corpus callosum. Alrighty? Are you with me? So, this is your thalamus, hypothalamus. Down here would be your pituitary. This is the optic chiasm, because the optic nerve has been cut right here. And pineal gland back here. Not this part here, just that little bulge right there. Midbrain, pons, medulla. Arbor vitae of the cerebellum. Very good. This area here would be the third ventricle with the cerebral aqueduct, and this hollow space here is the fourth ventricle. All right. Yeah. And we kind of did that already by showing you where all your cranial nerves are coming from. Got it? Cranial nerve number 1 up here. Can't see it, but there's number 2. Here's number 3. Here's number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then 9, 10, 11, 12. Just like we drew it on the board. If you can draw it without having to look at the picture, then you know exactly where they are. It doesn't matter which one I point to on the lab practical. All right. The only thing I would think I would add to this. You see this big? It's white. They painted it here. They made it here. It's 2 white myelinated trunks of information, and these trunks are going up. Okay. And here we are. See, the trunk is going up. Got it? This trunk is going up. And guess what we call that? Because it's going up to my what? Cerebrum. We call these trunks pedicles. Okay? Or peduncles, people call it. It's like a pedestal. Isn't a pedestal with something on top of it? That's what these are. Okay? So the ones that are going up and down, with up and down information, are called cerebral peduncles. Or pedicles, whatever you want to call it. Remember, it's always spelled out for you on the lab practical. You just got to choose it, okay? However, there are some that are going sideways to your cerebellum. What do you think we call the ones going sideways to your cerebellum? Okay. 2 plus 2 is 4, right? What's 3 plus 3?
6.
So use the same logic. If these going up to my cerebrum are called cerebral peduncles, what do I call the ones going to my cerebellum?
Cerebellum.
Cerebellar peduncles. Why is that hard? It's not, is it? Okay. It's named for where it's going. And that's what this is. It's been cut, but that's what this is. That's a white axon. Group of axons heading back to your cerebellum. See it? Heading back towards the cerebellum. Heading back towards the cerebellum. But this is the backside of your brain. Okay? Now, on your list, do you have, on your yellow list, do you have in your brain I think you do. Medial. Yeah, maybe you don't. I thought you did. Pons funiculus. I'm just checking to make sure. I don't want to teach you what you don't need, and I don't want you to not learn what you do need. Yes, you do. Look on page 20 and under brain stem. You see 20? Brainstem? Okay. Which one of these names means the 4 twins?
Four, five, English,
What's Gemini? Twins. What's quad?
four.
4. Corpora means the body of. Do you see 4 bulges? That's one set of twins. That's another set of twins. The 4 twins. There's your pinion gland up here. Okay? That's the 4 twins. So, how about on your chapter, or your lab practical? Do you see 1, 2, 3, 4 twins? There they are. And the pinion gland got cut in half. Okay? See how that works? All right. So that's the corpora, bodies, of the 4 twins. All right? The corpora quadrilateral. We talked about that. Okay. A lot of this stuff is pretty straightforward. See arbor vitae, tree-like pattern in your cerebellum. There's your cerebellum. See this white axon that's been cut and this big white axon's been cut? Cerebellar peduncles. Got it? White matter going this way. All right. Okay, I do need you to understand one thing, and that is that's a very hard to understand picture. You see, your cerebellum looks like this. The cerebellum looks like this. Got it? But what they did is they opened it up like that. So does it look like this guy's upside down, but these 2 guys are right side up? You see, that's wrong. This is the way your cerebellum is. These guys are right side up, and this guy is right side up. Everybody with me? He's right, these 2, and this guy. Does he look like a homunculus? Does he have big head, big hands, big feet, but a little body? But is he upside down? No. Remember? He's not upside down even though they have it interpreted because they took the picture from the top. They shouldn't have. Got it? That's why I'm here to teach you. It's not. So he's not upside down. None of them are. What else can I tell you? Is that his right side controls your right side. And his left side controls your left side. There's no crossing over. So is he contralateral? He is ipsilateral. Okay? So write this down. Ipsi, then lateral. That's what it means. Same side. And that's important because you want this side of your cerebellum to help balance this side of your body, and this side helps to balance that side. Are you with me? Now, we're talking about balancing while walking, balancing while running, balancing a unicycle or a bicycle. Got it? Or a hoverboard or a surfboard. Yeah? How do you balance yourself? How do you balance yourself?
Distribute your weight on either
Don't
side.
you use your hands and your feet? That's why those are the biggest parts of your cerebellum. We've got to figure out where in space are my hands? Where in space are my feet? I don't care about my body. Why is the head big? Where in space is your head? You know what helps you walk a straight line? Keeping your head straight. When we leave here, try to walk a straight line with your head sideways. It's not going to work. You're going to make a circle. Are you with me? And that's what your cerebellum is all about. Maintenance while moving. Balance while moving. Not moving in a car, moving yourself. It's your hands, your feet, and your head have to all be coordinated. And that's what this does. And the good news is, once you learn it, you'll never forget it. Ask your parents. If they learn how to ride a bicycle, they can still ride a bicycle. Got it? Because you don't forget it. Your cerebellum remembers this. All right? All right. Ooh. Limbic system. Guys, limbic system and reticular system. Limbic system is emotions. For my class, the reticular system is for making sure you are learning things correctly. Both of these help us with learning. That's why I find it very important to teach this to my students. The limbic system is not one organ. It's not one part. It's multiple parts in your brain working together. Okay? You have an area called the amygdala, which is a little almond shape. The amygdala is the Greek word for almond. This is the danger, fear. This is overactive in the person. They're out to get me. They're out to get me. Conspiracy. There's somebody waiting for me in the parking lot. Got it? People who are conspiratorial, somebody's coming to get me, they have an overactive amygdala. Okay? A lot of serial killers are that way. Because that's why they're killing people. They think they need to kill them first before they get killed. It's crazy. Okay? The cingulate gyrus is another area of your brain that is obviously working well on me because guess what? It's a coordination between my expressive emotions and my gestures. Got it? Ever seen a movie with Italian people in it? You know, kind of exaggerated. What's for you? One for you too. What's the matter? You know, what's the matter? Right? A lot of cultures, hand gestures are very expressive. Okay? Now I didn't know this till I took my kids and my grandkids to Disney. When you are working at Disney and somebody says, hey, where's the so-and-so ride? What does a person who is directing you have to do?
Take you there.
No, they go like this. 2 fingers or their whole hand. Because this is FU in certain cultures. So when you go like this, the person over there says, oh, they're giving me the middle finger, although it's your index finger. So they're taught, you never point with 1 finger, it's 2 fingers or your whole hand. Oh, it's over here. It's over there. Okay? Because it all depends on the expressions, the hand gestures of that particular culture. Okay? All right. All right. And of course, my buddy, the hippocampus. Hippocampus means horse. Sea horse. Got it? Hippopotamus means river horse. But the first time the Romans saw it, thought it was a horse. Only its head was sticking out of the river. Then it came out of the river and it got a big fat body. So. Campus. Why is campus the same thing as sea or ocean? Well, when they first invented universities and everybody was out walking from one class to another, it was a sea of students. That's why they call it a campus. Okay? All right, so the hippocampus is inside your brain, and it looks like 2 little shrimp. All righty? And what is its situation? I'll tell you right now. It is, like I said it to you before, it is the gateway to learning. It is all about your emotions. If you're calm, the hippocampus opens and lets everything you want to learn come in. If you are not calm, it shuts. Nothing can come in. If you're calm, everything you've learned can come out during a test. If you're not, it's shut. Nothing can come out. Anybody ever blanked out during a test? Anybody went, oh my God, of course the answer was A, after the test. Because after the test, the danger is gone. And your hippocampus is now calm again. Are you with me? So what we have to do is never, never cram. Because the closer you are to test day, the more your hippocampus is going, uh-oh, it's coming, uh-oh, it's coming. Your hippocampus looks at a test like a train coming at you on the tracks. Do you have time to go, let's see, so-and-so, or you get out of here? And that's exactly what your hippocampus is saying. Shut the door for learning and get my butt out of here. Got it? Escape, escape, escape. And the same thing during a test. Escape, escape. I don't have time to think about this stuff. I got to get out of here. Okay? So always do your studies when you're calm. Don't study when you're dead tired. Got it? Don't study when it's the wrong time of the day. You're already struggling. You're already stressed. Study when you're calm. Study when you're happy. Study when you're ready. Okay? All right. That does not mean put it off, put it off, put it off. Okay? Until one day you feel happy. Okay, now, the reticular activating system. What is this? Again, a far-flung system of different parts of your brain. Hey, what kind of fibers are these? Low to high. Projection fibers. Very good. Okay. Now, this is what keeps you conscious and alert. Is that kind of important when you're studying? That's why I'm saying the reticular activating system is kind of important. One of the things we need to understand is that the reticular activating system is responsible for getting rid of noise so you can focus. Got it? Get rid of the noise all around you so you can focus. You know this because, unless you're thinking about it, do you hear the air conditioner running? You've already blocked it out. Got it? When you're in a car, do you hear the road going under the tires all the time, or can you block that out? Especially when you're trying to drive between a bunch of idiots, right? You want to keep an eye on the idiots, not, gee, my tires are touching the ground, because that's not important. That's what your reticular activating system does. It helps you to focus by getting rid of the noise. Now, who in here, I know I've said this to you before, who in here likes noise when you're studying? Who needs dead quiet when you're studying? Then that's what you need to do all the time. Your brain has already told you, I need quiet, okay? I need noise. Just like J.K. Rowling, remember I told you? She'd go to the pub, and that's where she typed all her Harry Potter books, because just like me, I need noise that I can force my brain to push out of the way, which makes me focus. Because if I'm sitting in the library for 12 hours studying, my brain is wandering, looking for noise. Got it? It's looking for, I hear the water dripping, I hear the air conditioner, I hear somebody walking, I need to push away the noise to help me focus. And that's why studying at Starbucks, studying at Dunkin' Donuts, studying at, what's that place that makes all those donuts and cakes and stuff? Yeah, but I mean, Baker Sweets. People study there all the time in nursing school. These got 4 of them get a table and sit back there drinking coffee, maybe sipping on eating something, and they're studying because they need the noise to make their reticular activating system come on and push it away. Okay. All righty. The only thing I need to know is not the shape, not the size, not the number, but there are certain waves that are responsible for certain activities. Okay? So here's a little story that I put up here for you. When we go to bed and read for a few minutes while we're attempting to sleep, does anybody read anymore, or are we just playing on our phones? Okay. Well, back in the old days, you had a book by the bed. We are likely to be in low beta. Beta is your calm, but you're still alert. Okay? When we put the book down, turn off the lights, and close our eyes, we will change from beta to alpha. Got it? And then finally to theta, and finally when you're asleep, delta. Okay? So test question. What kind of waves are sleeping waves? Delta waves. What kind of waves are being alert and awake? Beta waves. Which ones are calming down? Alpha. Which one is being pretty much unconscious? Theta. Got it? And that's why it says right here. Got it? Your alphas are idling. Your betas are awake. Your thetas are irregular daydreaming, and your deltas are asleep. Got it? But Mr. Weber, why does beta come before alpha? Because these were named alpha, beta, theta, and delta when they were discovered. The first one discovered, they said, we're going to call him A. Alpha. And the next one, oh, we're going to call him B. Does that make sense? Beta. Does that make sense? And so that's why they have those names. They're not in order. They're just in the order of which they were discovered. Okay? All right. So what kind of waves do you want when you're studying? Beta. All right. Ever heard of epilepsy? Okay. Petit mal and grand mal. That means small bad and big bad. Okay? This is the big bad. Right? On the floor. Right? Can't do anything. What's a petit mal? It's just like this. You're talking to someone, and then you go again. That stop in the middle of your thought, in the middle of your action, that's a small bad. That's a small epileptic seizure. This is common in children when their expressions go what? Blank. Got it? As opposed to falling on the ground with all your muscles tightening up. Got it? Okay. No harder than that. Alrighty. Vagus, very important. Syncope is just a fancy schmancy word for passing out. Alright? These are our levels of consciousness. I'm alert. I'm drowsy, but still alert. I'm in a stupor. And I'm in a coma. 10-4? You know you were in a stupor when after you came home from a long drive and you can't remember where the hell you were. Got it? Until you look at the bumper and see all the blood, then you know you ran over a couple of people. But no, I'm joking. But I'm just saying. Has that ever happened? Yeah. Driving, and before you know it, you've been through 3 towns, you know? Okay. You were kind of in a stupor. So be careful. Try not to drive in those conditions. Why is it every gas station sells energy shots and Monster drinks and whatnot? Yeah, just to make sure that you make it from point A to point B. Because what happens when you start getting into a stupor? Yeah, you veer into oncoming traffic. I saw this on the news. Some TikTok person and her boyfriend down in Florida crossed the center line and hit another guy head on and killed him. They're fine. I'm sorry, I would not want that guy who got hit to be me. Or you. Does that make sense? Alrighty, sleep. That's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. REM sleep, rapid eye movement. Non-REM sleep, your eyes aren't moving. Notice, you go from REM to non-REM, REM to non-REM throughout the night. Okay? In and out, in and out, in and out. It is believed that when you don't get enough REM sleep, whatever, I hate you. I hate my boss, I hate my job. Well, get some sleep, you know? It'll help mellow your mood out a little bit, okay? Now, why do I have a picture of Mr. Fox chasing Mr. Rabbit? Because all animals, just like people, have REM sleep. We know we're in REM sleep, not us, but our partner can see, because a person in REM sleep, even though their body is paralyzed, their eyes are moving back and forth under their eyelids, okay? Now, anybody got a puppy dog or kitty cat at home? Have you ever seen your puppy dog in REM sleep? Yes, mine will go, their little eyes go, they go, ruff, 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 and just the tips of their toes are moving, ruff, 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 okay? And being a scientist, I'm always trying to coordinate, why is my dog doing this? Well, guess what she did earlier in that day? Chased a bunch of rabbits. Ran through the woods going after a deer, despite me saying no. And my opinion, I've asked, but she won't tell me, okay? In my opinion, the reason predators and prey both do REM sleep, because the prey will say, yeah, I zigged and I zagged, and that's how I got away. I got to replay that in my mind to make sure I get better and better at escaping. And the fox is going, I zigged and then I zigged again, and that's why I lost him. So he's got to replay in his mind, what can I do to be a better hunter next time? Does that make sense? And it's believed that that's what we're doing in our sleep, is reliving the most important thing that happened that day. Alrighty? The Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your anger. What does that mean?
Don't get as dead angry.
Especially not angry at your spouse. Because guess what your brain's going to do all night long? Get more angry, and the next morning, that son of a... Right? And it only gets worse and worse and worse. Are you with me? That's what your brain does. It can't literally go to sleep, like flatline. But you are going to be thinking about what was the most important thing that happened to you that day. See, if you were very happy, oh man, that was a great experience. Wow, Disney, woo, or whatever. Oh, the beach, oh, Cancun. But it's also that darn Weber, man, that boyfriend of mine, right? So, I'd rather you think about, look, I learned these 12 cranial nerves and go to sleep. Than, I'll never learn this stuff and then go to sleep. Because what's your brain going to do all night? Remind you, you're never going to learn this stuff. Are you with me? It's simple psychological steps that can make you be more successful at work, marriage, or testing. Got it? That's why I like teaching about the brain. Do what your brain is telling you. Don't fight what your brain is telling you. When you are tired while you're studying, stop. It's not going to come in anyway. You can sit there for 12 more hours and nothing's going to come in because your brain's already closed for business. Take your nap, get away from it, do something else, and come back when you're more alert, when your reticular nervous system is ready to rock and roll again. Got it? When you're angry, get over it, do something else. Then your amygdala will be calm. If you're nervous because the test is tomorrow, you shouldn't have waited this long because now your hippocampus is all upset. Does that make sense? Follow what the little, we used to call that the little man in your head. The little voice in the back of your head. It's telling you what's right and what's wrong. Pay attention to them. You know what they call that these days? In upper learning and higher learning circles? Metacognition. It means to recognize what is happening to you. Recognize what is happening to you. Don't cover it up. Okay? Don't ignore it. Don't just, I'm going to play it. I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to play I'm going to go TikTok. Right? No. Your brain's telling you, hey, pay attention to X, Y, and Z. All right? Okay. Is it about time to go? Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. All right. How do I change short-term to long-term? Are you in a good emotional state? I just said that. Are you going to repeat it several times? Yeah. Can you associate that with new stuff, with stories, with other things? Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Okay. Cool beans? Yeah, we can stop it right here. I'll finish that later.